Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini episode, I have a couple of great stories involving humanoid cryptids that were seen by the witnesses. One in which a person saw his doppelganger, and another, they saw this 7-foot-tall red-eyed creature during a possible burglary. Either way, let's start off with this article. My doppelganger. I saw myself jump off the balcony, and hear how this guy literally saw himself jump off of a balcony right before his eyes. Let's get into the article now. A late night return home turned chilling when the witness saw a version of themselves standing on the balcony railing, grinning unnaturally before leaping into the fog. The unsettling encounter left them shaken and questioning the reality of what they witnessed. This happened to me when I lived with a flatmate and worked nights. One night, I came home around 2:30 a.m. My flatmate worked as ground staff, and since her shifts rotated every week, she was supposed to be home around 6:30 a.m. that morning. I had a private balcony, which I kept closed during winter to prevent my room from freezing. The temperature could drop to 1 or 2 degrees Celsius, and while there was no central heating in the house, we did have room heaters. It was odd to find the balcony door open, since I clearly remembered closing it before leaving for work. I chalked it up to my flatmate. I closed the balcony door, turned off the outside light, and went through my usual routine of taking a bath and changing for bed. By 3 o'clock a.m., I had settled in, and I fell asleep immediately, which was unusual for me, as it typically takes me about an hour to doze off. I don't remember falling asleep. About an hour later, I woke up feeling cold and noticed the balcony door was open again, with the lights on. I distinctly remembered closing it and turning the lights off from my bed. I had a diagonal view of the balcony so I could see anyone who might be standing out there. Just as I was about to get out of bed, I saw something move out of the shadows and into the light. It was me. Now everyone, some skeptics and people will say this person was just hallucinating all of this due to some sort of maybe sleep paralysis or a dream. But I would have to say, folks, the fact that this woman felt so cold and she was definitely thinking that she was awake here, folks, I would have to ask, was that really what was going on here? And also remember, folks, we don't know yet if the witness here was truly experiencing sleep paralysis. If she could move around and she jumped out of bed, then this makes her experience maybe all the more possible. Either way, let's continue. I climbed onto the steel railings. Once on top, I turned to look back directly at myself and smiled a bit too wildly. It seemed like I had too many teeth. Then I jumped off the balcony into the fog. I stood there frozen, not that I couldn't move, but more like I was in shock. After a couple of minutes, I shakily got out of bed, freaking out, closed the door, and turned off the outside lights. Again, I couldn't sleep for the rest of that night and still don't understand what I saw, which sends chills down my spine when I think about it. I haven't seen that flatmate since. A couple of days later, I came down with a high fever and my flatmate slept in my room to take care of me. She mentioned that I murmured nonsensical things in my sleep during those nights. I picked up some over-the-counter medications for the fever and eventually recovered. I didn't experience any string of bad luck before or after the incident, and I didn't notice anything particularly out of the ordinary. However, I should mention that the flat sometimes spooked me, causing me to lock myself in my room. I never actually saw anything strange. It was just an uneasy feeling. On most occasions, though, everything was excellent. J.N. That doesn't mean that this incident isn't part of some overall haunting, but we can talk about that later after we read the next article, which is 7-foot-tall, red-eyed clawed humanoid encountered during possible burglary. Indeed, folks, let's hear about how this possible burglary, the witness and maybe others saw something they just could not explain. Let's continue and get into the full account now. In the summer of 1986, a Brockton, Massachusetts family encountered a terrifying 7-foot-tall humanoid with glowing red eyes and clawed hands after their dog lured them to a forced basement door. Hello, Lon. I want to report an encounter. Location, Brocktown, Massachusetts. Date of encounter, summer 1986. Type of encounter, unknown. Title, strange humanoid seen during possible burglary. This occurred in 1986 in Brocktown, Massachusetts. The house is no longer in the family and has since been renovated. Here's what happened late one night, sometime in July of 1986. My sister, my brother, and I were in our room, jumping around and playing. At the time, I was 15, my brother was 14, and my sister was 16. Our dog came bounding up the stairs to our room, barking furiously. We followed the dog down past my parents' apartment on the second floor which was our main living space. Then we went down past my older brother's apartment on the first floor and into the basement, where we found that the bulkhead door had been forced open. Upon seeing this, we ran back, to the first floor hallway, where we noticed movement on the back porch. Indeed, this is a very intensely unsettling situation, isn't it, folks? These kids, while they're not small children, they were from ages 14, 15, and 16, so they were, already basically in their mid-teens for the most part, folks. So they might have been able to deal with it more easily, so thankfully for that. But still, they were certainly in a situation that could have turned very bad very quickly. But we don't even know what the entity they're about to encounter really was. It could be that this entity really was inhuman and might have even scared off whatever it was, a person most likely, folks, that was trying to enter these teens' home. So, do you think that's possible that this entity might have saved these, teenagers, or do you think that this entity was what was responsible for the first entry? Let's read on and we can theorize afterwards. I opened the back door, and to my left I saw a humanoid figure approximately 7 feet tall. Based on my knowledge that the porch ceiling was 10 feet high, it had red glowing eyes and clawed hands that extended below its knees. I'm not sure if my sister saw it, as she was right behind me, but she never talks about it and won't say if she did. After seeing this creature, we hurried back into the house, locked the door, and ran up to my parents' apartment to call the police. The police did find the basement door forced open and believed there was an attempt to break into our house. However, they thought the perpetrators were likely scared away by the dog. When we explained what we saw, the police suggested it might have been other individuals messing with us, since they found no one or no humanoid lurking in the area. So, maybe that is indeed possible, folks. Do you think this is all part of some elaborate prank or hoax? It's a possibility and would explain why this entity looks so odd, folks. If he basically planned this all out to try and frighten these people, it would explain why he had clawed hands, longer arms, and red glowing eyes. But do you think someone would actually go through all the trouble just to prank 3 teens? It's a possibility, but if you think about it, folks, if someone wanted to basically pull off something like this, they do it so where, more people could see them than just 3 teens. And certainly there'd be other incidents about this red-eyed glowing figure in the area, I think. Either way, it's a possibility. But let's finish off this article and then we can discuss these stories we've read about today. Our parents were notified by the police about the situation and were told to keep us in their apartment with the doors locked. My parents also believed the humanoid I saw was probably just a person, most likely the burglar or someone playing a prank on us. However, I have never encountered anyone that size with red eyes and clawed hands. The humanoid appeared to be white with no clothing and no way to determine its sex. I only had about a 5-second glimpse of it. As a footnote, no flying objects were observed during this incident. I wasn't sure where to report this, so I posted it here. Thank you for investigating unexplained phenomena. Best regards, S. And to S's story here, folks, is it indeed a true one, or is it indeed maybe something made up by S as some sort of prank? It's a possibility as well, folks. But we've heard of other encounters of people encountering, giant red-eyed beings with basically overly large arms. In fact, folks, in some of the accounts, the beings can be described as basically being, having different colored eyes as well. I'm thinking that this could have been maybe a Bigfoot encounter, but I'm not quite sure. She mentions that it was white, but she doesn't mention that it had, that it was covered in hair. Or this could have been a pale crawler encounter, folks. I would not be surprised. I think in some pale crawler accounts, they are mentioned as having, glowing eyes, sometimes yellow or red. But then again, in most accounts, they're mentioned as basically looking like the Slender Man and basically having literally featureless faces, much like the no-face, a yokai from Japanese folklore. Either way, both encounters we've read today, folks, one with the Doppelganger encounter and the other with maybe a possible pale crawler or maybe Bigfoot encounter, both accounts are certainly odd, because we have read about Bigfoot trying to force its way into people's homes before, as well as Dogman, so this could basically be another such encounter. And with the Doppelganger account, this is something we've seen with these accounts, folks, that these entities can also act very strange as well. It's something to be expected. Anyway, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Now, hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications. And please, share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.